Yo, hell yes, it's Friday, April 2nd, 2021. We are locked and loaded as always. We got a lift in yesterday. I hate my HOA. Kevin Durant and Matt Gaetz have a lot in common, apparently.
Stop.
Okay, that's a...
Stop.
We got to talk about your guy, Kevin Durant.
Yeah, we do.
That's going to be a problem. So we'll talk Kevin Durant coming up, but we, as always, and I know this is going to be a surprise on the show.
Really shocking, I know.
We're going to open the show talking NBA.
What?
I know.
What?
You are really excited to hear this, but we are, because, boy, what a performance by the Denver Nuggets against the Clippers last night. I will simply say this is not your grandpa's Denver Nuggets team. This is not George Karl and Kenyon Martin and a bunch of dudes who aren't capable of winning. This is a very different team, and we've talked about it for the last couple of weeks about the deal that the Nuggets made to get Aaron Gordon and what that meant to them. So, Jake, I think the very simple question here is, do you believe that now the Denver Nuggets are the legitimate number one threat to the Utah Jazz in the Western Conference?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the thing with the Aaron Gordon signing that I feel like some folks aren't talking about is that, he creates huge matchup issues for the Jazz. I think when you look at the Jazz, we can all agree that Donovan Mitchell spearheads the offense. And he's going to get his either way, right? Like, he's always going to be a 30, even maybe 40, 45 points a night in the postseason guy. So, like, Donovan's always going to score. I think the real question is, when we look at the Nuggets, is like, okay, how are they going to go about beating the Jazz? And it's really simple. Jokic is going to perform at a really high level against Rudy Gobert because Jokic can shoot it. And then Aaron Gordon is this guy who is very physical. He knows how to play defense. He knows how to pass. He knows how to play pick and roll. He can shoot the three ball. He's a very pliable and flexible player, and he allows you to use him in so many different ways that it opens up your offense. And I think that I think overall the Nuggets are just an extremely balanced team now, and they're able to say, hey, the defense has given us X, we're just going to do Y to exploit the weaknesses of that defensive strategy. And I think that now the Nuggets are in a place where, they can beat you a bunch of different ways. Their defense is better. And I think that what we're going to see is as they come closer together as a team and the chemistry starts building, they're only going to get better. And that's why it's so concerning to me that the Jazz really did not get better, at the trade deadline. And of course, over the last, several seasons, I just don't feel like that they've really added difference-making talent, outside of making Donovan Mitchell happen. So, I think the Nuggets are for sure the number one threat to the Jazz right now.
Yeah, and I think going to LA and making that kind of statement against the Clippers, who are arguably an elite team, it seems like they don't find ways to play consistently well throughout a game. But, I mean, when you have Kawhi Leonard, when you have Paul George, when you have Reggie Jackson, who when he's on, there's not a better offensive machine in the NBA. When it comes to shooting threes, Reggie Jackson gets hot. They're good, but you look at guys like Morris, and I think Ivica Zubac is a guy that nobody's talking about, who's playing at a very high level. Well, by the way, the Nuggets had no problem handling that group. No. And I think when you look at guys like Michael Porter, if you look at the thing that impressed me last night, Aaron Gordon's movement away from the basketball was incredible. The baseline dunk he got, his ability to cut, Jokic's passing has been highlighted since Gordon joined the club. He's made them better.
Yeah.
And the thing that's remarkable to me is a lot of Jazz fans are talking about how, who's going to guard Donovan Mitchell on the Nuggets? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, let's say they don't have a matchup for Donovan Mitchell. Mm-hmm. People around the NBA have told me for a month now, the plan against the Jazz is let Donovan do his thing because no matter what you do, he's going to do his thing.
Yeah.
And mainly because nobody else on that team can beat you. Like, if you look at the Jazz, too often it becomes Don and everybody else.
Yeah.
And this is why Mike Conley is a vital figure to this team. What's the lesson we learned in Memphis the other night? I think very clearly it is that Mike Conley can play this game at a very high level, even though he's 71 years old. He can play this game at a high what? Is Mike Conley not 71? Anyway, welcome to the haters' ball. The point is, Mike Conley can play this game at a very high level. I think they showed that even with guys like Bogey struggling, Joe Ingles can cover up a lot of that. They still shoot the three at an incredibly high level. I think you're getting really good performances out of Royce O'Neal. But what they showed is they can spread the ball around and they can win games against, I mean, how do I say this diplomatically, Jake? It was Memphis.
Yeah.
Okay? Memphis is not a world-beating club.
No.
Would they have been able to beat the Nuggets, the Suns, the Clippers without Donovan Mitchell? Probably not. But I truly think that they're a great player surrounded by a bunch of good players.
Mm-hmm.
And Ben Anderson at KSL wrote a thing about how Rudy Gobert deserves MVP consideration.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to figure that out. Like, where does that come from? Because I've asked around about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know one person who believes it outside of Ben, and I respect Ben Anderson. I still believe he's the best NBA guy in this market when he's not apparently under the influence, writing that Rudy Gobert should be an MVP candidate.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I just totally disagree with that. And I'm open to the idea that Ben knows the Jazz far better than I do. Rudy Gobert is not an MVP. Here's why. Because he's not even the best player on his team. He's not the most important player to his team. And if you look at the other candidates, think about where the Brooklyn Nets are without James Harden.
Not where they are now.
Think about where Giannis is always in this conversation. Think about where the Milwaukee Bucks are without Giannis.
Not where they are now.
Look at where the LA Lakers are without LeBron James.
Yeah, we're seeing it every day now.
Rudy's should not even be in the discussion.
Yeah.
Defensive Player of the Year? Absolutely. No doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
You want to give MVP awards on defensive real plus minus? Okay, cool. I'm way more interested in the best player in the NBA who's the most important player to his team.
Mm-hmm.
And I still think that's James Harden and LeBron James. I know I talked about this the other day.
Yeah. No, I don't think you're wrong. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that the whole Rudy Gobert conversation is very simple. You've got guy A who is going to say that Rudy is the best big in the league and that, he's knocking it out of the park and he deserves an MVP consideration. And then you've got guy B who says that, Rudy Gobert is a one-sided player who does nothing for you offensively outside of rebounding, and he's a defensive juggernaut. And so, yeah, defensive player of the year, but certainly not even close to MVP consideration. So I more tend to say that Rudy Gobert is a defensive player, obviously, and I think that he tries his best on offense. But the fact is that Nikola Jokic is, I don't know, twice the player that Rudy Gobert is offensively. It's not really even close. I mean, Jokic is putting up 50-point games because he can shoot the three so effectively. Jokic is a guy who can pass. Jokic is a guy who really knows how to utilize the pick and roll to get guys in good positions, whereas, Rudy Gobert is just setting the screen, rolling, and then fading to the baseline, to the baseline block area. So I just think that that's a little bit, again, not to criticize Ben, I just don't think that that's a fair assessment of where Rudy Gobert is at compared to his peers in the league.
Yeah, I don't even know that is. I mean, what's it take? First of all, my definition of the MVP is the most valuable player to his team.
Mm.
It's not the best player in the NBA. Oftentimes, people try to interchange those. When I look at the guys that have real impacts on their rosters, Rudy Gobert has an impact. Defensively, he usually is at the center of what they do. But this is my argument against Giannis as well. You can scheme to take him out of the picture. When you are the LA Clippers, you're pick and rolling, and Rudy Gobert winds up on Pat Bev in the corner. When you're the Denver Nuggets, you're pick and rolling, Rudy Gobert winds up on Jamal Murray at the elbow.
But even when he's playing the Sixers in the Embiid game.
Yes. Embiid throttled him.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, yeah, he can be schemed against. And I think when you look at Ja Morant, I think when you look at all these players
Zion.
that are attacking Rudy's chest and getting to the basket, he can be schemed against. He's one guy. His best weapon is offensive rebounds and putbacks. That's not the stuff of MVPs. In crunch time, I can give the ball to Zion Williamson. I'm trying to think of limited offensive players in the NBA.
Yeah.
Zion has to get to the basket.
Yeah, it's Zion, it's Giannis, it's Ben
Simmons.
Ben Simmons. Obviously Rudy's in that conversation.
Yeah.
I'm sure we could come up with more, but used to be Lonzo Ball, but at least Lonzo can pass and facilitate a bit. But I think overall it's just the MVP conversation is reserved for guys who truly can dominate the game in a variety of different ways. It's not just, hey, I'm going to rebound and set some screens. I mean, and I don't mean to minimize what Rudy does, but now, like, one of the biggest things that people used to advocate for Rudy Gobert is that teams wouldn't go in the paint, right? That they would. We all remember the Spurs game where, you've got Lonnie Walker in the Spurs literally not dribbling into the paint because Gobert is standing there waiting to block them. Now teams have figured out, okay, we need to move the ball more and scheme to get Rudy out of the paint. And once he's out of the paint, okay, now we're back to where we want to be. And we're seeing that almost on a nightly basis. I mean, even against Valanciunas and the Grizzlies, I mean,
yes.
Ja Morant was getting looks,
yes.
In the
yes.
paint. So I just think that the whole idea of Rudy Gobert in the MVP conversation is just it lacks depth, and I think that it's not realistic. I think that it is an extreme reach. I think MVP guys are just like you said. I think it's LeBron. It's definitely Harden. I think, unfortunately, and we'll get to Kevin Durant, unfortunately, because of his injuries and now because of what he's done, he's no longer in that picture. But I think the Kevin Durant of prior years was in that conversation. And I think a guy like Steph is in the conversation for some people because of what he's able to do. So, yeah, I think it's reserved for a very small, select group of people, and that typically doesn't involve big men.
Yeah, I think if you look around the Western Conference right now, Jokic certainly would be there.
Yeah.
I think Steph Curry's there.
Yeah.
LeBron's certainly there.
Mm-hmm.
If you just look at the candidates in the NBA, obviously, you have a bunch of the names that we've already talked about. But I look at a guy like Rudy Gobert, and I just don't know. I just don't know how you get around his limitations. The proof is going to be in the pudding.
Yeah.
The Jazz are either going to win, and we're going to look like idiots, which we haven't yet, and every Jazz fan on earth pretty much on YouTube has told us we're dumb. We haven't yet.
Yeah.
But it's going to be one of two things. They're going to win a championship this year, or they're going to have a really disappointing loss in the Western Conference playoffs.
Yeah.
And
it really is a matter of when they see the Nuggets, because they will see the Nuggets.
Oh, they will see. Well, they will have to see the Nuggets, in my opinion.
Yeah, they will.
If they want to run the West, they're going to have to see the Nuggets. Make sure you hit subscribe and like right here on the old YouTube machine. Really helps the channel grow. If you're watching this right now, please give us a thumbs up. What's the most impressive thing about Aaron Gordon on the Nuggets to you? They go to L.A. last night and they win comfortably, and he was a huge part of their offense.
Yeah.
What's the most impressive thing for you?
Well, I think it's the flexibility within the offense that Aaron Gordon has. So a lot of guys in NBA offenses, generally speaking, want the ability to shoot whenever they want. They want the ability to create their own shot and kind of have fun doing that. But I think what the difference with Aaron Gordon is simply that he's not a selfish player. And what I mean by that is when he's got the ball in his hands, yes, there are certain situations where, he's going to go ahead and take the shot. If he's standing wide open in the corner, he's going to take the shot. But if you just go on YouTube or you turn on NBA TV or whatever and you're watching the Clipper Nugget highlights, you're going to see all kinds of things. You're going to see him cutting off the ball. You're going to see him facilitating. You're going to see him setting picks and running the pick and roll. Like, he does a lot of different things for you. And what that means is that he can challenge defense in a lot of different ways depending on who's on the floor. And this is truly why I think he is such a problem for teams like the Jazz, like the Suns, these teams that are there, but they can be had. Because he can, it doesn't really matter who you put on the floor. Because of his skill set, he's going to take advantage of the weaknesses no matter what. And that's what impresses me the most.
Yeah, and I also think I think the unselfishness, the moving off the ball, like his ability to defend multiple positions. I think the thing that stood out in that game as well is, man, when the Clippers are bad, they're really bad.
Mm-hmm.
They get lazy, they get slow, they play this plodding, methodical style of basketball that just doesn't fit in when you're talking about the way that the NBA elite teams play right now. And it's striking to me just how bad the Clippers are when they're bad.
And it's amazing that they didn't go and get Lonzo Ball because they were in that conversation and they could
they
really
need
use
him.
it.
They need him. They definitely need him. And I think the thing that scares me about the Clippers is that, man, they can be really good. I just don't think they'll ever get to really good with the roster that they have right now. There's a flaw there, and I don't know how you fix that. I think I look at the schedule tonight, and I'm telling you that every one of these games in the playoff spots in the West, Golden State Toronto's a huge game.
Yeah.
I look at the Jazz need to torch the Chicago Bulls.
Mm-hmm. And they will.
It's statement time. Like, I look at the Lakers and the Kings. This is a must-win for the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah.
Like, I think you have to keep every night's a chance to reestablish yourself. If you're the Kings, you have to keep proving that you're worthy of a playoff spot.
Yep.
And I think against a wounded Laker team, you have to take advantage of this, right? So it'll be interesting to see exactly what the Lakers come out with. Obviously, Drummond's hurt. LeBron, AD, like, they've got real issues. The Kings have to find a way to win this game. I look at Phoenix and Oklahoma City. This is a game that, the Suns tend to drop a dud a couple times a month.
Yeah.
This would be that dud because OKC's better than most people give them credit for. They give you a really good effort every single night.
Mm-hmm. And they got a bunch of young guys.
The Suns are going to have to buckle up and win that game. I think the Knicks in Dallas,
that's going to be a good one.
That's going to be a game that's fabulous. That game's at the Garden, right? And, I look at, like, Milwaukee, Portland. I love that game. That is in Portland. The Antetokounmpo brothers, like, Giannis's little brother is coming along.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't value Milwaukee as a championship contender.
Yeah, I think they got some proving to do, for sure.
Yeah, I love Portland in that game.
Wow.
We'll see how they
that's
defend
the game
Giannis,
that's the game that Portland will drop because they're Portland to me.
Wow.
Like that's they always find a way to,
Is New Orleans a playoff team?
I mean, they're certainly good enough to scrape into the postseason, and that would be a nice little achievement for them. I would love to see that. I'd love to see Zion in a moment of consequence. Yeah, I would. I think they are good enough.
They're only 2 games out, really a game and a half of a playoff spot. I mean, they've got Atlanta tonight.
Yeah.
That's a huge. I mean, there's so many big games. I don't know how many people realize that the Lakers are a half game out of the 6th spot. And I'm not saying they're going to miss the playoffs. But it's good. They're going to have to start finding ways to win games without LeBron.
They're going to scrape into the postseason.
Yeah, they're going to have to find a way to win games without LeBron.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be in that playoff game. You don't want to be in that 1-game playoff.
No, and you don't want to be the 8th seed playing the Jazz.
No, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, that can't happen.
That would not.
You got to be a 6th seed at least.
Yeah, with the way things are currently constructed, I think the Lakers would. That would be a 5-game series. It'd be over.
Yeah.
Like, I think the Jazz are exponentially better than the LA Lakers. Let's talk about your friend Kevin Durant, because you're an apologist for Mr. Cadizzle.
Right.
You tend to gloss over everything that Kevin Durant does because he's the best. And wow, look at him shoot that 3.
Yeah, the problem is he
Look
screwed
at him
himself
get to
here.
look at him.
I mean,
I don't care what he does at home when he's alone.
Okay.
Anyway, my point is you're a huge Kevin Durant fan. I'll stop being a hater. And you were not immediately pissed at what about this situation with Michael Rappaport.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing you did is victim shame. You went after Rappaport.
Yeah, well, I think that Rappaport is a loudmouth. I think that Rappaport likes to be in the center of attention. I think that Rappaport is a guy who likes to talk junk, and I think that does not justify what Kevin Durant said here. I want to be very clear. That does not justify the slurs. That does not justify like Kevin Durant going in on him. But I think it does need to be said that, yeah, I mean, I do think that I don't even mean NBA players. I mean every person on planet Earth has a line. At some point, they will stop tolerating what you're saying. You know, they will, come back after you. And I think that this whole thing started from an interview on NBA on TNT, which I'm going to play here in a minute so you guys can kind of understand where this whole thing started. But I think the overreaching point and the thing that I'm most disappointed about with Kevin Durant here is that he has no ability to control his mind. I mean, you have zero ability to say, dude, like, this guy is just a hack. This guy is someone who's always running his mouth about something, and I got. Like, that's embarrassing if you're Kevin Durant. It's not acceptable. So here's a post-game interview from NBA on TNT, and this is what started all this drama right here. Hello.
Go ahead anytime you're ready.
Hello.
I'll just be
I'm trying.
No, go ahead.
It's not doing it.
I mean,
I'm trying.
I mean, you go ahead.
Your game,
Hey.
trying to get back your timing and conditioning, really, to be honest, correct?
Yeah. You know, Kevin, you've been on championship teams, you've been in the NBA Finals, and now you're taking some guys that have only made the playoffs. Like, what is the message that you send them on a consistent basis from day one to end of season?
Come into work and be the best you can be every day, and the rest will take care of itself.
Thanks a lot for spending a couple of minutes with us. We appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Listen to this.
And so,
It was loud in that arena, we couldn't hear him.
Yeah. There was so much energy in there, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was excited to come in.
So they're criticizing him for not giving
It was
a
a
good
terrible interview.
Yeah, admittedly, it was a terrible interview.
Right? That's an awful interview.
Yeah.
You didn't want to be there. Just say, no, I'm not going to do the interview.
Yeah.
But he didn't do that.
Right. Instead, he does the interview. He gives one-word answers, essentially, doesn't put a lot of effort into the interview. And so what does Rappaport do? Rappaport goes after him and calls him soft and calls him all these names.
Yep.
And so then, of course, then we get the DM exchange.
Yes.
Which, obviously is what the main issue in this whole story is and what the more regrettable moment is. And then, of course...
understand, it was a heinous exchange of words. It was homophobic, undertones, just all kinds of nastiness.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not what you typically think of Kevin Durant.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Kevin was aware of that because his comments kind of said, yeah, I didn't want people to know that's who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, yeah, I don't know. I think this massively changes my opinion. And his explanation for it and his apology that wasn't really an apology
Yeah.
exponentially changed my opinion of Kevin Durant.
Yeah, here's that. Okay, again.
Secondly, what's your response to the reaction to the social media messages that were made public on social media?
I'm sorry that people seen the language I use. That's not really what I want people to see and hear from me. But hopefully I can move past it and get back out on the floor.
Okay, so wait, let me get this right. And we're going to play that again here in a second. Let me get this right. You just got caught dropping homophobic slurs on a Hollywood actor who also is a jerk. Totally agree with you. Rappaport's a jerk. This is who he is. This is not his first time. This is not his last time. This is who he is. You got baited into this situation. You get outed by Rappaport. So your apology is, yeah, I just didn't want people to know that that's the language I use, and I just need to go back and play basketball so people will forget this happened, and I can keep making my millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah, that's pretty much what he said. Yeah.
Not sorry to anybody who I offended. Not, hey, these words were terrible. I should never have used them. This is not typically who I am. I got caught up in a moment. None of that. No heartfelt apology to, the LGBTQ community. No, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Just, man, I'm really, you know what I'm sorry for? I'm sorry that people know I talk like that now. Like, that's what it,
yeah.
I mean, listen to his apology, and you tell me, I interpret this as, I'm sorry people know I use this language, but can we just talk basketball? Let me just get back on the basketball court.
To the social media messages that were made public on social media.
I'm sorry that people seen the language I use. That's not really what I want people to see and hear from me. But hopefully I can move past it and get back out on the floor.
Hopefully I can move past it and get back out on the floor.
Yeah, he's not apologizing for what he said.
Giggity says KD has always come across as being soft.
Yeah, no, I agree completely, 100%. I think whether we look at, if we remember his years, I think it was his last year with Golden State, he had all the technical foul issues, all the ejections that were happening. This is hardly his first time, having a spat with somebody. So I completely agree. I think he's known.
But the bigger point Giggity makes is, isn't he the guy with fake Twitter accounts to defend himself?
Yes.
He makes it. He got caught using fake social media
burner accounts,
yeah, to defend himself. Absolutely. Good morning to you, Giggity. Mr. E says, imagine if this was done by Myers Leonard. You mean while streaming on a video game and he dropped a Jewish slur? Where's Myers Leonard right now?
Oh, that's right. He's at home.
Where's Kevin Durant right now?
On the Brooklyn Nets.
And with
this
Nike
is my main
and
point.
making tens of millions of dollars.
My main point.
Which is
star power saves you. Literally, in our world, star power saves you. And I'm not. I want to be really clear. Like, this is messed up. What Kevin Durant did here. Like, he should be fined. He should definitely be suspended after he's medically cleared to come back. It shouldn't be a thing where he can serve that suspension while he's hurt because he was already going to be out. So what's the point? So yes, suspension, fine. And I don't know what Nike does. I don't know
But
how
you
they
can't
view
tell
all
me
of
that
this.
it's okay for Nike to do nothing. After everything that they've done community action-wise, after everything that they've been involved with and their athletes have been involved with Black Lives Matter, with Colin Kaepernick.
But here's the thing. With Nike though, what exactly are their options here? I really put some serious thought on this. What is what is it that you're going to do? Because I legitimately don't believe that pulling your endorsement of Kevin Durant is an option. I just don't. I don't see that is at all on the table.
Based on what?
Based on the fact that he's such a major portion of what they do. Whether it's his shoes, whether it's the commercials. I mean, he is integrated into what they do. I mean, he's right.
Right, but when somebody comes out as homophobic, and when somebody comes out so strongly with such awful it is, I don't even encourage you to go and read it. It is terrible language.
Yeah.
Like you and I, when we joke, say some really grotesque things.
Right.
Do we ever, we don't.
No.
Like to me, this is not boys being boys.
It does speak to what I always find myself, thinking. The place I always get with conversations like this is the fact that you're willing to use that word with such comfort does speak to who you are as a dude.
Yes.
That's really the thing that I think is the underlying major issue, and I think that I don't know, man. I guess I just don't truly believe that Nike's going to do anything about this.
They probably will not. They should.
Know? Yeah.
Gabe Ledley, good morning to you. Lopes fan Gabe says, in some strange way, I'd rather KD own being an ass than fake apologies.
I would too. I would love for him to just said, hey, you know what? This is what happened. I got, and I'm really sorry. That I would have loved to see that. And it's so funny. We're going to tell you guys a story later in the show about some contracting issues that, you're going through. And whether it's those, whether it's this, whether it's, anything a politician does that we're going to talk about in a minute, own the fact that you did what you did. Hey, I did it. Okay, I'm sorry, I messed up. It's like, one of the best examples I always see, and some people may have seen this already. Eminem in 8 Mile, right? In the final rap scene where he just dominates and like lights the world on fire. The only reason he did that is because he owned everything that his enemy had against him. So you have nothing else to say. That's what these dudes don't get. If you're gonna get in trouble, just say, "Hey, I got in trouble. I'm really sorry. And here's what I'm gonna do to rectify the situation." But this is like, you're totally right. This is him just saying, "Oh, I'm sorry that now people know that I use that word. Oh, that's really unfortunate for my career." And it's like, dude, like, I love you as a basketball player, but now as a human being, you're really starting to make me question you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think Will has a different point of view. He says, why do we really care about this? We don't need Kevin Durant to be a humanitarian. We need him actually to have hamstrings that work. Get your ass back on the floor and stop playing around on social media. I mean, do we really... Man, this is probably going too deep, but it makes me feel like we don't value these guys beyond what they can do on a basketball court. We say we do.
What do they do to make us value them? What is Kevin Durant doing to make us value him?
Well, nothing, because we all forget about that when we hear him drop homophobic slurs on Michael Rappaport.
Right.
That. That, to me, Kevin Durant is an incredibly generous, caring, loving individual until these DMs came out, and now I view him totally differently.
Yeah.
And it's really disappointing. He is one of my favorite players to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And
As he is with
I
everybody.
think that will probably change. I think that'll probably change. I hope he gets healthy, and I hope he plays. I think the NBA should suspend him. I think the NBA should fine him a substantial amount of money. This is a league that is built on humanitarians.
Yeah,
that is built on
and inclusion.
Yes, and you can't tell me that. Oh well, I'm going to support the Black Lives Matter movement. I'm going to we're going to wear T-shirts. We're going to put their logo on our floor. We're going to do everything we can do to include social justice in our platform because that's what our players care about. And then you have a guy that so openly and grotesquely disrespects the LGBTQ community, and you're going to say nothing and do nothing?
Yeah, and he's not, and he's a superstar in the game.
Yeah, this is an MVP. This is a guy that...
Scoring champion.
Yes. So this is not Myers Leonard.
Yeah.
This is Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I'm probably making too much of it.
I think that you want him to be severely disciplined for
Yes,
this, which
I do.
I understand, but
Yes,
that's
I
not
do.
going to happen.
I think I'm just, you know what? Like he's my son. I'm not mad at Kevin Durant. I'm incredibly disappointed.
Uh-huh.
This is really disappointing.
Yeah, and it's stupid. It's really stupid that he would allow himself to be, to be in this position, but he did.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really disappointing. I don't know. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button on YouTube. Give us a subscribe. That really helps the channel grow every day. We are so close to 300 subscribers, and it's been a great ride for us. We've really grown a lot over the 6-7 weeks that we've been on YouTube, and we really appreciate your support. So please give us a thumbs up and a like. Marcos says, you guys are making way too much of this. This guy's a basketball player. Let him be a basketball player. Well, then what's the difference?
I just can't believe this sentiment,
You
dude.
can't be pissed at shut up and dribble and then say, well, this guy's just a basketball player.
I don't understand.
That doesn't jibe.
I don't understand why NBA players are regarded in this light, but then when we look at the NFL, the guys in the NFL are Jesus Christ incarnate. Like, I don't get it, dude. Like, I really don't understand it. Like NBA players, maybe it's just people don't understand like how influential NBA players are. Not every kid gets the opportunity to suit up a helmet and pads and cleats and leg pads because they don't have the money, dude. Like, do you guys not understand how many kids in this country like can't afford to play football?
No,
so they
do you
go
understand
to basketball.
how many kids don't have internet?
Yeah,
Do you
dude.
understand how many kids don't have, $220 shoes on the wall? Do you understand like the privilege that Kevin Durant has and every other NBA player has? Do you understand that there's people in this world who don't know what happiness and sports and
Yeah.
opening day in Major League Baseball is?
Yeah, and Kevin Durant, I think, has I know for a fact that Kevin Durant has a higher responsibility to represent
Yes.
the NBA and himself and the whole community more. That's the thing. These guys, like, with all due respect to Marcos and anybody else on the comments who's saying that, oh, well, these guys are just basketball players. You guys are blowing this out of proportion. Well, I disagree with that, man. I think that, whether we're talking about, Leonardo DiCaprio, Kevin Durant, LeBron, whether we're talking about Russell Wilson or otherwise, any of the biggest NFL players, those guys have a responsibility.
Yes.
And I think that too often as adults, we don't appreciate the fact that little kids look up to them. And Jimmy now has to ask his dad what the F word that Kevin Durant used means. And that's a problem, man.
Yeah.
That's an absolute problem.
Rio Dennis Campos said, I think Durant's legacy could be so much better. He's a classic hypocrite. Hi, I'm from Brazil, guys. Love your show. Oh, wow.
Thanks, man. Appreciate
Thanks,
you, bro.
Rio Dennis. Appreciate you.
And I agree with him. I think there's a lot of hypocrisy in Kevin Durant, and I think that if he would control his mind, he would not be regarded as soft.
Sean, good morning to you. Sean Mierzinski. Man, I hope I'm getting that right. Sean's a regular listener. Appreciate you being here. This just shows that they get away with a lot more than normal people. If it was you or me, I'd be fired. Oh, my goodness.
Without a doubt.
Do you know what? Yelp wouldn't even hesitate. Yelp would not even hesitate. That's it. Like, our company is built on inclusion.
Bro, if we dropped an F-bomb on a call on a business owner,
gosh.
we'll see you later.
Good night.
We'll see you later.
Jackson, good morning, too. He says, that's why Katie's not a champion and Westbrook is. We're defining champions all wrong. Well, I would have a hard time believing what?
A Westbrook apologist, which I think I was expecting that at some point.
Yeah, I have a hard time, but I just don't think, to Jackson's point, winning a ring doesn't make you a champion. It just really bothered. The whole thing really bothers me.
But here's the last thing I want to say on this, because we do need to move on. But the last thing I want to say on this is just remember when we're talking about how severely Kevin Durant should be held accountable to this and disciplined and everything, just remember what Kobe went through. Just remember all the things that Tiger Woods went through. Just remember the stuff that Kyle Larson did, that Myers Leonard did, that all these guys have done that we, forget until we have to have this conversation. And that's why I'm saying, like, as much as he probably should be held accountable at a really high level, I don't think the culture in our world is going to do that. I just don't.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, I think what's interesting is you bring up Tiger Woods and you bring up Kobe Bryant. I mean, Kobe, I was covering the Lakers when Kobe went through that whole thing.
Yeah.
He was a juggernaut at the time. And
in what sense? What do you mean?
Just so you remember, Kobe was flying back and forth from Eagle, Colorado to Los Angeles during the NBA playoffs. He was facing a rape trial in Colorado in the morning and afternoon, and then flying to LA to play for the Lakers in the playoffs at night. And he was performing. He was, just dominating on the basketball court. And he was lauded as a hero for that. Hey, look, look at Kobe compartmentalize and just like he was doing something special. Mm-hmm. He wasn't doing anything special. And I think, with all due respect and deference, because I think Kobe Bryant was a pretty remarkable human, but he was also accused of a heinous sexual assault that he bought his way out of. And we've all forgotten about that. Mm-hmm. Are we going to forget about that with Deshaun Watson? I don't know. Deshaun's not Kobe. Mm-hmm. But guys like that, they have more of a chance to get out of stuff like that than you or me do.
Of course.
I mean, that's the bottom line.
Yep.
So anyway, make sure you give us a subscribe and a thumbs up on YouTube. Appreciate everybody who listens to this podcast on audio. Anywhere you want our content, just search Google The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show. You'll find all of our audio podcasts, our video, everything you want is right there. Just search The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show. So where do we go next? I could complain about my HOA. I could complain about the contractor. We could talk about how many shoes are too many shoes. We could talk about going back to the gym last night and lifting during COVID.
Let's start with the gym, and then let's go to the HOA, because I think the two play together.
really frustrated with my HOA. So I pay $400 a month for an HOA. I get a ton for that. Well, I'm supposed to. I'm supposed to have my roof and the outdoor structure of my townhouse covered. I'm supposed to have a gym membership. I'm supposed to have paddleboard and canoe rentals and
All this stuff.
all this stuff.
Yeah.
I live in, for those of you who don't know, I live in Daybreak, Utah. Great community. So I buy this house, and the escrow company makes a mistake. And somehow we don't, my HOA didn't get paid during the transfer of ownership. Don't know what happened.
How, dude? How?
Don't know what happened. So they're still trying to work that out. They've sent letters. We've talked to them on the phone. HOA didn't get paid. Uh-oh. The world's coming to an end.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, by the way, my house isn't painted. There's paint chipping off of my railings. Can you guys do that? All right, great. Give me a call. Thanks. I have to leave messages. Do they ever call you back?
No.
No. I need this, and don't call me back. I need that, won't call you back. I need this, won't call you back. Going to the rec center yesterday to get a lift in. There's this whole process that apparently you have to go through. We go through the process. They are like, hey, can't let Jake in because we need to prove he's your son and he lives at your house, which he doesn't. He lives at your house, all this stuff. And so I finally had enough, and I said to the guy, I pay you guys $400 a month, and you do absolutely nothing for me. Right? So he gives us passes. We get in. The gym is just not great.
Uh-huh.
It is old equipment. It is not well organized. It is not socially distant. It is not wear a mask while you're lifting.
Mm-hmm.
None of that. And like one of the things, my wife's a huge gardener. Can't find the water control box.
Yeah, and you guys have looked.
And we've called, and we've asked, and we've asked, and we've gone into the HOA, and we've asked, and we've called.
So
Nothing.
So wait, you guys went into the HOA. What was it? 2 days ago now?
Yes.
Right? 2 days ago.
Yep.
What did you go into the HOA for 2 days ago?
Hey, we're having trouble getting an answer as to where the the sprinkler system control box is
On your property.
Yeah. Oh, we can't help you. That's not us. There's multiple people who control the HOA because you have multiple HOAs. So call this guy over here. Well, we already called him. He said we had to come in here.
Uh-huh.
And it's like there's no answer. They send you in this merciless loop. So then I'm pissed off at the HOA because, again, I'm paying $400. $400
A month.
a month.
Not a quarter.
A month. Go in there. They don't have answers. They shuffle you around. I'm paying $400. Then you go to the gym. Oh, well, we might let you in, but you know what? Hey, man, I'll do you a favor and let you in. And I literally said to the guy, you're not doing me a favor. I pay $400 a month. You're not doing me a favor, right? Like you can tell I'm really fired up about this. I hate HOAs.
Yeah.
I hate HOAs. So anyway,
Right.
we get our lift on. It was a good lift. It was a good workout. But it was really uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
There was no social distancing. Nobody lifting was wearing a mask except me and Jake and Mrs. Monty. And it's just like, dude, like, I'm not going back to that gym.
Yeah.
Even when COVID's over, I likely will not go and lift there.
Yeah.
Now, I pay $400. And I'm going to wind up going to Vaza Fitness.
Just take it nice and easy, okay? Just relax.
I'm going to try not to curse.
Yeah.
By the way, that's something else we got to talk about. But anyway, so today I'm going to find somebody's rear end at the HOA, and it's going to get chided because I want answers.
Yeah.
I want service.
Yeah.
I'm tired of having to deal with this.
Yeah.
I'm tired, and I want I'm not allowed to paint my front door. I'm not allowed to paint the exterior of my house.
Mm-hmm.
And like my garage, I have a garage that's separate, right? The paint on the molding, it's chipped off.
Yeah. It doesn't look good.
Needs to be repainted.
Yeah.
I'm paying $400 a month.
Yeah.
You going to repaint that? Oh, you're not. Can I repaint it? No, you can't. Okay, great.
But still pay us.
But if you're a minute late with a payment, we're going to repossess your house. We're going to foreclose on your house.
So I said, yeah.
Like, what is wrong with you, man? I'm over it.
I would be over it too. This is one of those, that I don't blame you. I think that HOAs want to get paid and they don't want to give you anything.
By the way, while we're complaining,
yeah,
every morning on before when we're getting ready for the show, we are watching the NBA TV.
Yeah,
and the nights that it's like NBA TV replays the NBA on TNT, the postgame show. When Ernie Johnson, Kenny Smith, and Charles Barkley are off, that show sucks out loud.
Yeah, it's bad.
Adam Lefkoe should never be allowed to host another show. On today's show, they go 45 minutes without an NBA highlight.
How?
The first 15 minutes of the show are jokes about April 1st.
Don't get it. You're on NBA TV and you're not showing NBA highlights. Okay. Seems legit.
Okay, so real quick before we decide. So we're going to join Vaza. Is that what we've decided?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to wind up paying. I pay for. No.
Well, you're not going to wind up paying. I'm going to pay, which is fine.
Yeah, but we're going to split it.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, we'll work it out. Yeah, it's fine. It's really not expensive.
I pay $400 already. So yesterday there was a big conversation on both Twitter and YouTube about my language on this show.
It's really unfair.
It was. Well, it was brought to my attention that perhaps I may curse a little too much.
What?
That my language in some of our drops are a little inflammatory.
What's wrong with you?
I personally don't think there's anything wrong with me. But several of our listeners have said that they can't listen to it. One guy said I listen to you guys while I take my son to school, and I have to turn it off because you curse so much. And another guy said I was playing it on Alexa, and my wife was listening, and she's like, "What are you listening to?"
Shame.
So we're not allowed to curse on this show anymore.
Well,
because these No, I'm kidding. Total joke. Just a joke. Because people have said that they don't like us cursing so much on the show.
well, okay.
So we're now a PG-13 show, which means you don't have a penis, you have genitalia. No,
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I'll stop. I'm just being a jerk now. Mm-hmm. And then there is my contractor.
Dude, so as much as I'd be pissed about the HOA, this would piss me off more. Like a lot.
Okay, I pay $400 to the HOA and get absolutely nothing. I pay $10,000 to a contractor, and I can't say I get absolutely nothing because that's not true. I pay, and I haven't paid 10 grand. So we're redoing our bathrooms, 2 of our bathrooms in our house. Mm-hmm. This should be a 2-week project at most. Mm-hmm. They're not big bathrooms. Mm-hmm. It literally is floor, shower, toilet, vanity, and top. Done.
Can you measure it?
He did measure it, right? He did measure it.
Okay. I'm just asking.
Cabinets were supposed to go in on Tuesday. Hey, man, any update on those? Nah, it's going to be Wednesday now. All right, cool. Talk to you tomorrow. And I think I even said to him on Tuesday, hey, man, please don't make me chase you. Mm-hmm. Because my day tends to fly by. I don't have time to chase people. Mm-hmm. And he's like, okay, yeah, no problem. Didn't hear from him Wednesday. So I texted him yesterday. Update? ? Oh, man. He calls me. Oh, man. You know, UPS made a huge mistake and they shipped your cabinets to Wyoming.
I doubt that.
Days and weeks and hey man, when are the cabinets going in? Well, hey, when are the cabinets going in? It'll be Tuesday. He's like, it'll be Tuesday.
Why is this a problem?
This job's going to take a month. When you promised me to be 2 weeks, we're supposed to be done, totally wrapped, completed already. Oh, I'm sorry, and it's the cabinet company. I'll send you the invoice, and Hey, man, can you not make me? I said to him, can you not make me promises you can't keep?
And he will every single time.
I've got family coming in this weekend. It's Easter weekend. I'm tired of washing my hair in a kitchen sink. Like, it's frustrating.
Yeah.
We actually have a shower. The shower's not the issue. What I don't have now are sinks. And I don't have vanities or cabinets in my bathrooms.
Yeah, which is a real problem.
And I said to him, well, tell me you've ordered the quartz. I said to him yesterday, you've ordered the quartz, right? And he's like, yeah, it's on standby.
That means you haven't ordered it.
I can't get it until we have the cabinets so we can make a template. And I'm like, dude. And he's like, yeah, I'm picking up the quartz on Friday today. And I'm like,
this guy, dude.
And he, frankly, his work is good, but it's not elite. And if you're not going to be elite, I'm not going to use you again, but don't be late. And then don't make me promises you can't keep. Because this job originally was a week.
It should be a week.
They're 2 smaller bathrooms. And now we're going to be a month on this. Oh, and the cabinets and UPS in Wyoming. Bro, you just tell me.
Don't lie to me, dude. Don't
He started
BS
this
me,
job.
dude.
You started this job on March 16th.
Like,
you had the ability to order the cabinets on the 18th because you ripped everything out. You knew the size you needed. He didn't order them until the 24th. And if you know the renovation business like Jake and I do, it's very busy right now. So,
and this is the problem for this guy. He thinks we don't know what we're talking about, and we do.
And it's very busy. So cabinet companies are probably and our job is smaller. It's 2 vanities and 2 wall cabinets.
Yeah.
You're probably 10
weeks?
days,
Yeah.
10 days at least on this.
Yeah.
So do the math, friends. And if you look at if you open up your handy, good morning, Barry. If you
Barry's probably upset we didn't talk about the Knicks, huh?
He is. If you look at the timeline here, okay, if he would have ordered them on the 18th, 10 days would have been last Wednesday or this Wednesday.
So 2 days ago.
But when you order them on the 24th, right? When is 10 days? Tuesday. This is not rocket science, my friends.
I don't understand, and I will never understand why contractors can't do what they say they're going to do.
Because they chase. They're always chasing. And, frankly, I should not have hired this guy because he was ready to go the next day. And so I think Mrs. Monty and I even talked about it. Yeah, it's probably too good to be true.
Yeah.
But now he's given us a substantial discount.
Okay, well,
and
what's so substantial meaning?
It
Like
depends
10%
on what
off
day
the
it gets
job?
here. No, it depends on what day it gets here.
So you're just going to leverage him out of it, basically.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because this is a major headache for me now.
Yeah, and not to mention, we've got family coming in town, and we've got people that are coming.
It's Easter weekend,
and
man.
hey, we don't have vanities. You don't have vanities.
Don't have vanities. Don't have mirrors.
It's ridiculous, dude. It's ridiculous. It's unacceptable.
And he put a plastic knob for a shower handle,
which is again unacceptable.
You're gonna have to
come on, dude.
Hello, yeah. So there's that.
Yeah, man.
This is why you don't pay guys up front, which I did not do, by the way.
Yeah,
I'm about 50% of the job paid.
Mm-hmm.
So
which is fair.
Yeah. Well, and this is why you don't pay 100% up front.
Yeah,
he asked me for 80% of the job up front. I was like, come on.
Nope.
No, not doing that. So I paid him a material cost up front. And then we had this floor issue. And so I paid him more for the floor issue.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. Barry says, hey, I thought you were an expert. How did you get duped? I don't think I got duped. Right? I don't know.
Yeah,
if I
how
did
exactly did he get
I don't think
duped?
I got duped. I really
Are
don't.
you just saying he got duped because of this guy not ordering cabinets, or
Yeah.
what is the
Yeah,
the
I
angle?
think that's what he's saying. Kevin's like, are you going to talk about Matt Gaetz or not? Let's go. Well, sorry. Don't mean to hold you up,
I love
bro.
that people want to hear the Matt Gaetz take.
Don't mean to hold you up, bro. Tyler says, totally agree with the KD thoughts. Myers Leonard just got destroyed for less. But because KD is an MVP level guy, he just says sorry and moves on with life.
Yeah.
Once healthy, he should face a suspension from the league as well and get similar treatment.
Yeah, dude.
Myers Leonard should be a Utah Jazz man right now.
Yeah, well.
But because of that, he's not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Nets are not going to cut Kevin Durant.
Nope. Neither is the NBA.
The NBA should suspend him for the rest of the year.
No, okay, that's a little heavy.
It's
Dude,
not.
That's heavy, bro.
How is that heavy?
The rest of the year?
Yes.
Dude, that's like 6 weeks. That's like 30 games.
Yeah, not my fault. Not my problem.
Dude, that's a lot, bro. That's a lot. No, dude, that's not, no.
Yeah, well, see, and this is
where we disagree.
This is where we disagree.
Yeah.
I think dropping homophobic slurs in any forum should get you suspended.
Yeah, but you're saying suspended for the rest of the year.
Send a message. You're at the NBA. If they do not suspend him, are a bunch of hypocrites.
Okay, I agree with that. You can't not suspend him, but I'm saying suspend him the rest of the year is super heavy.
All right, let's finish up because we got about 5 minutes. And we'll probably do an hour on it. But we got about 5 minutes to do Matt Gaetz. All right, so Matt Gaetz, Congressman Matt Gaetz. You
Matty
know that,
Ice.
yeah, apparently. You know that Matty Ice went on Tucker Carlson, face twister on Fox hate channel. He went on Tucker Carlson the other night and revealed that there are pictures of him with an underage woman. Well, we got a lot of details yesterday. The federal investigation into Matt Gaetz' sex trafficking is about him and a partner paying underage women for sex.
So wait, are we talking about Jeffrey Epstein or are we talking about Matt Gaetz?
Now, there's a lot of people asking that question. And then CNN dropped a bomb with sourcing that says... Sources. Fellow congressmen telling CNN that Matt Gaetz routinely shows nude photos of women he's had sex with to his fellow congressmen.
Uh-oh.
Which, A, is a violation of the law, by the way. And B, he won't, but, I mean, he is on the road to resignation.
Oh, yeah.
He is in real trouble here.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
do you know where this goes? I mean, where this goes is, hey, we're going to, well, maybe because of the sensitivity of the photos, they won't push them out to the public. But what they will do is they will leverage those photos to make him resign. That will happen, in my opinion, at this point. I think you're way too deep into this now to somehow escape.
Is it too heavy to say he should resign? Because I actually don't think it is. I mean, this is all stuff that has happened in Florida. He is one of the young faces in the GOP.
Yeah, I mean, this is next level stuff. I mean, you're talking about underage women. You're talking about sexual exploitation of people. You're talking about paying to fly underage women across the country with you and like all this crazy stuff. And no, I don't think it's too much to say that the dude should resign. That truly is the issue when you're a politician. One wrong move and it's resignation time because you represent a people who no longer want you to represent them.
But and I'm not I say this in all sincerity. 100% I'm not being sarcastic or isn't this who powerful men in this country have become?
Yeah.
If you look at go back into the Kennedys, go back to
Bill
Thomas
Clinton.
Jefferson. No, I'm serious. Go back all the way in time.
Yeah.
To presidents and, our founding fathers having sex with slaves.
Yeah.
Like, if you think about the sex scandals that have happened in politics and have happened with men of power in this country for decades and centuries, this is nothing new. Whether it's Bill Clinton, the Kennedy brothers, Donald Trump, this is right out of that playbook.
Yes.
Where
and it's what the GOP is becoming.
It really is.
On almost a monthly basis, we have a some sort of, last month it was Cancun Cruz. This month it's Gates. I mean, there's so many of these guys who are just doing for lack of a better word, asinine things. I mean, you're doing things that are stupid.
I'm really surprised that Matt Gaetz allowed himself to get caught up in this.
Is this is today's show like the dudes getting caught up in dumb things show? Is that what this is? Like,
but you know what I'm struggling with is that this is so similar to all of these other scandals in that you have Matt Gaetz' father is really powerful and wealthy.
Yeah.
And you have all of these guys. It's Deshaun Watson.
Mm-hmm.
You put yourself in a situation where it could only go wrong. Let's assume that Matt Gaetz is innocent and he didn't fly 17-year-old women around the country and have sex with him, them or her.
Right.
Let's assume that.
Right.
You're walking around Congress showing other congressmen nude photos
on the floor of the House of Representatives
of other women that you've had sex with.
What are you doing?
What you're doing is you're opening the door to get yourself leverage. Now,
Yeah.
let's assume that Matt Gaetz is guilty, which we don't know if he is or not. There's a federal investigation.
For a reason.
Matt Gaetz is accused of having sex with a 17-year-old girl. Full stop. Just stop right there. Matt Gaetz is accused, an adult who I think is 38, of having sex with a 17-year-old woman.
As you can see, there's not much hope for you left.
Because that's a crime. Right?
Dude.
So then you add in the fact that he allegedly flew her around the country to have sex with him in different locations. And now the federal investigation is centered on whether you and your business partner friend paid underage girls for sex.
The answer is yes.
You're a United States congressman. Your father is a billionaire in net worth who is a political power player in the state of Florida. You are very closely aligned with Donald Trump. You have the world in the palm of your hands, whether you want to be governor, president, senator, talk show host. It was said that Fox had offered him a contract once he was done in Congress. Like, you had the world in the palm of your hands. Until you had a predilection to have sex with 17-year-old girls and pay them for sex and then show photos to your fellow congressmen. Other than that, you're living the dream, bro.
Doing a great job, bro.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
You're Deshaun Watson and you're flying women in to sexually assault them, allegedly?
I feel it's almost like,
hello?
We went from, oh, well, we're just going to do this in behind the scenes and in back rooms and all this to we're just going to be super out in front with it. We're going to be flying these people around.
Yeah.
It's like they thought that they could get more brazen and still not get caught. And I almost feel like it speaks to it really does speak to where they're at as human beings. I mean, they legit Matt Gaetz legit thinks that he can fly underage women around the country and have sex with them and nothing's going to happen to him.
No repercussions.
And that's just couldn't be further from the truth.
Deshaun Watson thinks that he is going to allegedly force oral sex on a woman if you believe this lawsuit.
Yeah, and if you're defending Deshaun, at least you're saying, hey, they weren't underage. I mean, that's your only saving grace, but it's still heinous. I mean, it's still awful.
You're Bill Clinton and you think you're going to get away with getting oral pleasure in the Oval Office?
But at least with Bill, it was with an adult. Matt Gaetz is doing this with underage people. Like, what are you doing, bro? Like what, like how?
Yeah.
How is that ever a good idea?
And the tough part for Matt Gaetz is that he brought his father into the middle of this scandal.
Mm-hmm.
And what's hysterical is that he's trying to use the extortion attempt against his father to say, hey, that's why this investigation's happening. The investigation's totally separate. Yeah. I mean, but
that's classic Republican.
The sad part is your father was being extorted and your father wore a wire for the federal government to out these extortionists.
Which, by the way, nobody knew before the Tucker interview.
Yeah, nobody knew that was happening until you outed your dad as a federal informant on Tucker Carlson. Matt Gaetz is just this guy who I think probably has a sex addiction and probably got really comfortable with being Congressman Gates.
Yeah.
And I think he probably drank the power Kool-Aid because he was so closely aligned with Donald Trump. His star rose meteorically during the last 2 years of Donald Trump's presidency. It's just this thing where you wind up in a situation where you've destroyed everything around you now. Like, how are you ever on level terms with your dad again?
You're not.
Like, your relationship is forever changed now.
Yeah.
Your father was being extorted, I think it was for $25 million.
Yeah, and now you want to try to connect that to what you were doing?
And you're saying that they were extorting your dad for $25 million to free an FBI agent who was captured in Iran many years ago, and most people think he's dead, including his family who had him declared dead. Like,
yeah.
What does that have to do with the fact that you're under investigation now for what we know is paying underage women for sex?
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you're guilty. It means you're under investigation. But the FBI and the DOJ doesn't investigate people without real heavy evidence.
Yeah, they don't waste their time.
I mean, it's a thing where you just have to understand there's no winning here.
No.
What happened to innocent until proven guilty? You guys are assuming Matt Gaetz did the thing he is being accused of. I'm not assuming anything. I mean, I've said repeatedly, whether it's Deshaun Watson, whether it's any of these guys, that you just have to take the evidence at face value.
Mm-hmm.
And the evidence on its face is not good for Matt Gaetz. I mean, the FBI has photographic evidence. They have digital evidence. They have text messages. This business partner that Matt Gaetz is involved in this investigation with is an absolute scumbag.
Yeah.
I mean, if you, I'm not going to say his name or whatever, but if you go back and you read the articles and you dig into this like we have,
yeah,
this guy is, Matt Gaetz should not be associating with a guy like this.
Yeah, and
you're a U.S. congressman.
This is the biggest difference between the Matt Gaetz thing and the Deshaun thing. I mean, there's no evidence in the Deshaun thing. I mean, we've seen like one conversation. I mean, there's not all this stuff that you know that the cops have or something. I mean, the cops aren't even looking into it. I mean,
Derek Gray says, so what's funny, Tubby? Look it up. Text messages just came out showing extortion over this whole thing, but you guys will ignore the facts. The facts are that his dad's extortion had nothing to do with Matt Gaetz paying underage women for sex, allegedly.
I love strong take guy in the comments.
Yeah. And that's the problem, Derek. Derek is trying to say, well, it turns out that Matt Gaetz isn't being investigated for sex trafficking. It was an extortion attempt. No, what happened was, and for those of you who don't know, the extortion attempt is by two former federal agents who are no longer federal agents who got wind of this extortion this sex investigation. They needed money to pay a ransom to free this agent Levinson, who disappeared in Iran many years ago. So they knew Matt Gaetz' father was a gazillionaire. These two federal agents went to Matt Gaetz' father and said, hey, if you give us $25 million, we'll try to make this go away.
Right.
They never said, hey, give us $25 million or we're going to start an investigation. The investigation was already well down the road.
Yeah.
They used the investigation to try and extort Matt Gaetz' dad so that they could get a ransom together to free this FBI agent who they believe is still alive.
Yeah.
The two are completely unrelated. So,
which just speaks to homie's lack of
Derek,
credibility.
what are you talking about? And Derek is a guy who routinely hates on us in the comments, but I welcome you to do that because it usually, when you do things like that, it usually exposes you don't know what you're talking about. So, and I love that he calls me Tubby. You're so original. You think you're the first guy? You think you're the last guy? Come on. Anyway,
you and Matt Gaetz have a lot in common.
He does. That's right. But the point is, I think Matt Gaetz is in real trouble here.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how if you're Matt Gaetz, I don't know how you extricate yourself from this.
Yeah.
You know, like it is. And of course, then Derek goes with kind of like Hunter Biden. There's no evidence Hunter Biden did anything.
Yeah. So Derek is a Donald Trump supporter.
Yes.
Derek clearly watches QAnon.
Yes.
Derek is very much the guy who drinks the Kool-Aid.
I'm going to guess
that
Derek Gray watches Tucker Carlson on a nightly basis.
Yep. So no surprise. You
know, Eric C says, "Hey fellas, good morning. Good morning to you, Eric.
What's up, man?"
Ronald says the Matt Gaetz thing is sad. It's really it is because
it is.
This is how sex trafficking lives in this country.
Mm-hmm.
It is usually not. It usually is an Epstein kind of guy.
Yeah.
It usually is that kind of. It is sad. Giggity says Derek is a clown. Derek's entitled to his opinion, but anytime you go with just like Hunter Biden. you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're just trying to stoke the
Yeah,
fire.
you're peddling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God it's Friday. Play the music.
Dude, seriously.
So I'm going to go complain to my HOA about my HOA.
Right. So we're going to get an HOA update on Monday.
We are. It's an Evo. Somebody's asking about I can't remember what
it's Air Max, Vapor Max,
Vapor Max
NRG.
Yeah,
Evo.
Vapor Max Evo. Yeah. It's on Nike.com. The shoe on the wall. We usually change it a couple times a week. Make sure you follow us. Make sure you give us a thumbs up on this video. Make sure you give us a subscribe. Really appreciate you doing that. It helps the channel grow. And if you want to find us anywhere else, podcast, Twitter, social, anywhere, just search The Monty Show. MONTY The Monty Show on Google. Until Monday, say good luck, Matt Gaetz.
Good luck, Matt Gaetz.